up so that we can record, but in the meantime, there are some citizen request papers up here. If anyone would like to take one and write your name and address that you would like to. There you go. We're live on YouTube and we are recording. Okay, all right. So those papers are available. So now I will officially call the Town of Unicoi BMA meeting for Monday, April 19th to order. And our first order of business will be invocation that I will give, and then we will have pledge. Alderman Radford, would you maybe lead the pledge? Okay, we'll all stand, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for our opportunity to gather. Thank you for the sunshine. We are privileged to be here in this space, and we are privileged to be an elected board to serve this town. Lord, give us wisdom, give us listening ears, give us hearts with conscience, and please direct our activities as we make decisions that affect the future of the town. And it's Christ's name I pray, amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. And again, welcome, welcome. We are going to exercise a few little presentations. This is a COVID vaccine proclamation that was sent from state legislators that requested that we read this proclamation into the record. Whereas at the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, various chambers of commerce, economic development organizations, and business leaders convened to form Region Appalachian Highlands Economic Aid Directory, Region Ahead, to support locally owned small businesses. And whereas this regional collaborative has representatives from Bristol, Kingsport, Greenville, and Johnson City Chambers, the economic development organizations representing the 8-county region, East Tennessee State University, Bristol Motor Speedway, Champion Chevrolet, ARO Creative Incorporated, Creative Energy, Cumberland Marketing, Major Print TV Media, and the First Tennessee Development District. Whereas the First Tennessee Development District Foundation has secured grant funding for Take a Shot on Life, a campaign to encourage residents in Northeast Tennessee to receive the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Region Ahead. And whereas this regional approach guarantees focus for all residents, regardless of community size, we, the duly elected representatives of the town of Unicoi, issue this proclamation to show our support for the effort and the goal of 75% immunization in our community. So that proclamation being read into the record. Next, we have some presentations. Oh, I'm sorry, I said roll call. We're on here. Okay, didn't you see it? I'm sorry. Roll call.
Alderman Bennett.
Here.
Alderman Radford.
Here.
Alderman Ray.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper.
Here.
Mayor Bullen.
Here. And then I also failed to ask if y'all have had an opportunity to review minutes. If you had any corrections or additions.
I make a motion to accept. Second.
And a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay. Let's
Alderman Bennett.
Yes.
Alderman Radford.
Yes.
Alderman Ray.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
yes. Now, we have a presentation from the town of Unicoi Volunteer Fire Department. First up, I don't see Miss Hensley, but I see two other folks. Y'all introduce yourselves, and I'm going to ask you if you can keep it about 5 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, great. Welcome, y'all. Welcome. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Robert Allen, the captain with Fire. I've been there roughly a little bit over 12 years now.
I'm also captain on Dustin Leopard. My job is pretty much overtraining and some administrative work, grant writing, and you're also a representative for the fire department. We appreciate you guys letting us come out. We don't get to do this very often, so we just want to thank you all for letting us come out. And it's really encouraging to see a lot of our town members out here tonight too. So you guys don't get to interact with us a whole lot unless it's on the bad side a lot of times. So it's good to hear some good things coming from us. So I'm glad you're here. We have two things on our agenda tonight we really wanted to go over with you guys. One is just verifying our budget proposal for this year, so you guys are on the same page with us, you understand. Open those floor to any questions or comments you may have. And kind of where we're at as far as this year. So let's follow up a little bit last year, just so you kind of understand where we are. We ran a total of 163 calls last year. We serve a very small population, so that's a very significant number for a small department. We have 20 members, so we put in over 2,800 man hours. So if you guys see us out working, those hours add up. So cumulatively, we put in 2,852 man hours. As far as training, our past 3 years have been very, very, very focused on fire training. Me being the training officer, I take that seriously. I'm a state certified fire training instructor along with some other things. So I took my time to get in there and do the training. So I expect my guys to do the same thing. We put in over 1,100 training hours last year, especially for 2020. And that's also a very significant number for a small department. We train on pretty much everything. I'll go over kind of some of those things here in just a few minutes. So where are we at this year? We're 4 months in now. So I've done our quarterly update. We've already had 56 calls. So if you divide that out by 4, we're actually going to be probably over what we ran last year. Those numbers annually still continue to grow. So as the need continues and town gets bigger, our job gets harder. We've already put in 794 man hours this year in the last 3 months and 287 training hours. So everybody always asks, what I'm doing tonight is I'm answering a lot of the public's questions. A lot of the town's administrative side ask us a lot of questions similar to what you're going to hear tonight. A lot of our town members ask us, so what does our income expenditures look like? We are a very transparent organization. You can pretty much walk in our doors at any given time and say, I'd like to see your books. You're more welcome to look at it. So we like to be very transparent. Your all's money from your donations and the town's money from their donations to us, they go in a lot of different directions with their department, which cumulatively goes back to the town. So what that kind of looks like, last year our income was right at $258,000. A significant portion of that, $136,000 of that was a grant, a federal grant that we were awarded to let us acquire our new SCBA breathing air packs. Words were extremely outdated. We've been trying to do that for years. Our expenditures was $94,000 last year. I want to highlight some things that, because this is going to make a significant point here in just a minute. Our apparatus, you see us on the side of the road, looks like we have nice vehicles, and we do, we keep our vehicles up, and it costs a lot to maintain them. We spent almost $22,000 last year just in maintenance. And some of those were catastrophic maintenance failures. We have an aging fleet. We have our main apparatus right now, it's 25 years old. It doesn't look like it, but it's 25 years old. It's actually by NFPA standard right now, it's supposed to be retired. Earlier this year, I'll talk about here in a minute, I did apply for another federal grant to replace that engine at a cost of $460,000. Fire trucks cost a lot of money these days. And that's not even with a lot of bells and whistles, that's just a base model vehicle. But what we have to base our numbers on now is as the town grows, we have to grow. See this gas station going out here, they're going to have high expectations of us. They done checked us out, guaranteed it before they decided to put this gas station right here. We have to have adequate fire and emergency services for these larger corporations to come in. What does it cost to do what we do? Just for myself, to outfit myself, $11,000. The equipment we carry on our person, that's just equipment on our person. Our protective gear costs us $11,000 per person. We've got 20 members in the department. We've got several right now that doesn't even have half of this. I just call the budget. You know, we have to manage our budget. Our maintenance costs really hurt us the past 2 years. So we're trying our best to play catch up. The required equipment, as I told you a minute ago, a pumper truck costs between $350,000 to $600,000. Tankers, which we have 2 of, part of our aging fleet, $150,000 to $250,000. Our brush unit, $75,000 to $150,000. And that rescue truck that we have parked out here, that'll cost you $125,000 to $175,000 on the market today to replace. So these things are going up annually, and that's because of required safety add-ons that NFPA required to be placed on any fire apparatus nowadays. So just like your all's cars when you purchase them now, they didn't cost what they did 10 years ago. It's because of safety features. The equipment that goes in those trucks, the trucks can cost us $460,000 if we were awarded that grant. The equipment that's going to have to go back in that's going to cost $64,000. That's the handles, the hose, the nozzles, the extinguishers, so forth, so on. So things cost money. Future capital, which we've touched on a few of those. We do have a piece of land that we purchased several years back that is adjacent to our fire station now. It's actually 2 separate lots we combined into one. We're going to utilize that for a multi-purpose lot when we get it paid off. We're looking at probably putting an extra parking and maybe a small training center there for us to train. So it'll be a multi-purpose use. And we've got just a couple years to pay it off. We pay it off next year. That'll save us about $2,000 in interest. So we're looking at trying to do that. For our vehicle maintenance costs stay in line, that's our hope and our goal for this year. As I said before, we've got several firefighters that don't have the adequate gear right now. So we're going to have to make sure that they're getting provided the up-to-date gear. So we're going to have to buy about 4 sets. We've got hose. We have about 1,000 feet of hose that we're going to have to replace. It just sections of time keep failing, so they don't pass the pressure test. So and we've got some ladders we have to replace. That's $32,000 worth right there. Granted, are we going to be able to do that one time? Probably not. It would be another miracle if we could, but that is on our projections goal. And of course, I just talked to you about the apparatus. So that grant, how this works out, this is one of the main reasons why we're here tonight. That $23,000 right there, it's a 5% cost share. So the government pays 95%, and we are, as a municipality, responsible for 5% of that according to our population. So 5% of that 460 is $23,000. We're here tonight to, we added that in our budget proposal for this year. So if y'all had read over that, there's a second addendum on there that explains that $23,000. What we would like to see is historically, the town Unicoi has always been good to us about helping us with the purchase of replacement apparatus. Pretty much every apparatus that you see us in, the town has helped us acquire. And if it hadn't been for that, we would still have a fleet from 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's just the fact of the matter. So the town's been very gracious to help us there. But if we can acquire this $460,000 grant, which we will know by May, and I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful and very positive that we will get that grant. We want to see if that is a option for the town to help us acquire that, provide that $23,000 in subsidy. It's a one-time. Historically, the town would pay annually a set amount of dollars to pay off an apparatus. So right now, we don't have any outstanding debt on the apparatus. Everything we have is paid for. So we're in the attrition stage now. We're trying to replace these aging apparatus. So this would be to replace our main engine. This is our front line. When we come to your homes or we respond to your car fire, that's the apparatus we're bringing. It's a 1996. Got a lot of hours. Frames start to rust out on the bottom. Our compartments are rusting out. It's just, we live in a salty environment here in the winter time. It's just a fact. So we can't do nothing much about that. We just try to maintain it the best we can. It's 25 years old, so it meets that retirement age now for the NFPA. That's just something that we wanted to make sure that you guys are kind of aligned. You have some understanding on why that was in there separately, according to our original budget proposal. Do you have any questions on that at this time? Okay. We tried that last year. There was some questions that rose up. So we just wanted to make sure this year everything was clear. And it's a little bit different situation this year. We didn't have a grant apply for last year. This year, we'll come out a little bit better, hopefully. So as a firefighter, if the town of Unicoi would have to pay for fire services as a providing career firefighters, it would come at a cost of $46,000 per firefighter. That's including equipping them, that's including their benefits package, just like any other town employee. That's what we cost. That's our value. If you place a value on a firefighter, which to me, you can't place a value on us. But if you were to place a dollar amount, that's what we're valued at according to the town of Unicoi. Because that was what it would cost the town of Unicoi to fund a private organization, which that's never really been considered, but just something to think about. And it would cost about 1.8 million, according with the fleet that we have right now, for the town of Unicoi to provide that. It would cost about 1.8 million to replace that fleet and the building and the housing. And that would come at a cost of about $979,000 a year in salary, benefits packages, and so forth, so on. And those numbers come from local municipalities, Johnson City, Elizabeth, and Berwyn. So those are numbers according to our area.
I've got a question. What
Yes, sir.
percentage of households in the town of Unicoi is members of your fire department?
All but 3 of us, yeah. So we've actually got about 25 on the roster.
How many households actually is members of your fire department?
Membership dues.
Membership.
What is your return on membership
Membership
dues?
Okay. I'll
The way it's working out for this year, we're right at the 20% mark. As many fires as we sent out, we should, if 100% paid, we would have 72,000. Right now, as of 3 days ago, we had 18,000. We sent them out, 2 months ago, 3 months ago? So from year to date, we've got 18,000 out of possible 100% paid into 72,000 of all the fires we sent out. And that's flowed for the last probably 5 years backtracking. The most we've ever gotten is about 24,000, which is roughly you're looking in the 20% range of only fire use coming back in.
And to highlight that, to be honest with you, I was really expecting a lot less this year just because of the pandemic. That actually didn't seem to hurt us on our fire duties. We're still maintaining that average from the last 2 to 3 or 4 years. It's been fairly consistent. So, but we average about 20%. We send out 2,400 mailers, and that's what we get. So
If you get the grant, you get a new pumper, what you gonna do with the old one?
that unit, if we do it the way that the federal government says we have to do it, it cannot be sold to another fire department. It's deemed unsafe. That's why we're having to replace it. It'd be deemed unsafe. Now, we can sell it to, say, the maintenance department or county highway department. They can use it to flush out ditches or wash roads, whatever, but we cannot sell it to another emergency entity. Or it can go to scrapyard. I mean, it's still a viable vehicle. It's just, right now, it's just not suited for emergency use safely. What services do we provide? This is the big one. We get this all the time. People that think we just fight fire. We don't. We provide all your fire protection. That's home, brush, car fires, RV fires, 18-wheelers on the interstate. You see us out a lot doing that. Vehicle rescue and extrication, accidents. We provide medical first response with CPR, AED. So we roll out on those medical calls. We also do specialty rescue stuff like low-angle rope rescue. We do some swift water. We do some hazmat response. All these are low level. we're not on operations level per se, but we are trained in those areas. And we do assist the search and rescue, Unifor County Search and Rescue team. We try to do that as a mutual team and assist them, because that's a pretty significant call when that call does come in. So it needs a lot of personnel, a lot of boots on the ground to assist them. So, what service do we provide other than emergency services? Some of y'all might see us in the public, might see us out changing flags. Captain Taylor spearheads that. He's done it for years. So as you see these nice flags go across the town, we hang those up for you guys. Something we were asked to do years ago, and we just always continue to do it. We love doing it. The maintenance department here in the town, anytime storms come in, there's always trees come down the road. We go assist them cutting the trees out of the roadways, off power lines, so forth, so on. Chief Legal, he does quite a bit to help traffic control. He's a small department too, so he requires a lot of assistance from us. So we try to provide the police department with adequate personnel to help them. Manpower for special events, you'll see us pretty much every special event the town has actually always asked us, and we've never said no. So every event that actually has put on here, we've jumped right in and went. So the next one you'll see is at Strawberry Festival this year. We'll be helping actually set that up and parking cars and get vendors in. That's the things we love to do. The next big thing is we provide install smoke detectors. So we usually get those in on a grant fund, or sometimes we'll set aside X amount of dollars out of our budget to buy smoke detectors and provide those to the town, the people that need them. So we go and install those for the community. And as of right now, since we started that program, we're probably between 800 to 1,000 installs.
Close to between 800 and 1,000 since probably the last 4 years we've installed in just our fire district. We've gone even outside. We've had some agencies not have the manpower to do it during the weekday. We've gone outside of our district to just make sure that homeowner and family has the software to protect them from a CO2 detector to a smoke detector.
Just something we like to do. We're always doing something. You'll see us out and about a lot. Here's what I like to ask. We always have our own agenda. We know what we need to do better at, but a lot of times we don't get to ask the town. We don't get to ask you guys, what can we do better to serve you guys? So that's always a question that we ask, and you guys are more than glad to send us a Facebook message or stop by the station and just have a conversation with us. This some of the things I'd like to see you guys hop out and do. Or if you need assistance doing something specifically, contact us. We'll be more glad to come out. And if we can't do it, we'll guide you in the right direction with the people who can. Is there any other questions that the town and citizens may have before we
I got one question.
adjourn ours? Yes, ma'am.
How can we improve that 20% return on those dues?
Something we're considering. Most departments are doing a dual mail out, so we only mail out once a year. We've talked to several departments that won't send out another fire due, but they'll send out just in August a reminder, hey, you don't forget to pay your fire dues. This goes towards our maintenance that we spent already, in August. Way I can imagine if we're spending $23,000 on maintenance in August, hey, we spent $23,000 on maintenance. If you're not paying your fire due, this is what it's going to cover. That's one way we're looking at it, because when we send out once a year, it may get thrown in the dresser on the countertop and it gets thrown away with trash. If we send out again, we may see a return. That's something we will definitely we're looking into and trying. As far as anything else, that's about the only other option to try. Now we opened it to PayPal. So if you, like me, I don't have a checkbook. If I was on pay for it, I have to come in person and pay cash. Now we have seen a good return on PayPal, but I think we've only had 20 payments on PayPal. So that's 20 maybe we wouldn't have gotten if we didn't have PayPal. So that's still an increase on our end that we're seeing, but just not a huge increase that we would like to see.
There's not a lot of leverage, I think, for citizens to pay or not pay. Although I've seen on the flyer, if you don't pay, it'll cost you more if we have to come up to your house. Is that something, I don't mean for
No.
is that something y'all actually track?
We cannot legally charge for our services. Now, what we have, our second option is your insurance you pay on your home for everyone that has home insurance. Your insurance has a allotted amount for when we come out, for a smoke alarm activation, for an actual fire. They have a certain amount. Usually it could be in between $100 to $500, depending on who the insurance provider is. What we are looking at doing is doing a third-party insurance billing for that, because we don't have personnel 24/7 station. It takes that to do the billing for it. It's just almost like EMS billing. We have to have somebody dedicated to just do that. A third party steps in and says, we will do the heavy work. You just do the run reports. We give them the information. They send that information to the insurance. Insurance in return would give us that 500 or whatever the amount it is for every call we go on. And that would be for everything. The 156 calls we had last year, that third party insurance would bill everybody's insurance that had insurance, only their insurance. It wouldn't go to you directly. It would just, if your insurance can cover it, that's it, it's done.
Yeah, we ran that a little bit by, Ms. Schultz there and got some legal advice on her side according to the contract. And there's some wording and things that we're trying to work around in that contract with this specific provider, but that's just another option we're potentially pursuing just to help recoup some of these monies in costs. So one last thing, you guys that don't know or not aware, we just started lowering our ISO rating in the town starting in 2010. We started out with ISO rating of 9, which is pretty much almost terrible. Since 2010, we have got the town's ISO rating down to a 4, which is pretty unheard of for a volunteer department, especially a small volunteer department. Where that benefits you all as a community, your insurance rate. You know, your insurance costs are rated on how we are as a department, and how the town operates and how the water utility district is all combined in a whole. So, and we're continuing to pursue. I'm still setting goals, trying to figure out how we can get to a 3. So it takes money, unfortunately, and it takes equipment, and it takes personnel.
We appreciate everything.
We're
you do.
trying.
We
We're trying our
appreciate
best.
everything you do.
If you got
Absolutely.
any other questions, that's all we have for you guys.
Well, thank you. Oh, you got one.
Make a comment. Unicoi Volunteer Fire Department, you'll be very proud of them. Out of all the fire departments from East Tennessee, I'm familiar with most of them. They probably rank in the top 5% as far as training effort, the memberships, the dedication, response calls, the times on the calls, which is unheard of in volunteers. But there's a lot of good departments in East Tennessee. They probably rank in the top 5%. They're a very good department, very good for our community.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Well, while those change out, I'm going to update. Our next presentation was going to be Adam Kopis with Emergency Medical Services. And he called me this afternoon with a little bit of panic in his voice. And he said, I just can't figure out what to do. I need to come to the town of Unicoi to do a presentation, but it's my 5-year-old's very first T-ball game. And I said, go watch your little guy play T-ball. So he brought us a packet that he supplied to the BMA members. And I think I've tucked mine up under here. They've grown a lot. I don't know, Ms. Ray, you serve on that committee as well. They've grown a lot and they do a lot with little and they maximize everything. So our EMS service is serving a really big need and I think efficiently. So anyway, I'm just going to say that on behalf of EMS. Would you like to?
Sure. This young man has done something I've been wanting to see for a long time in our county. He's young. I think Jimmy can agree with this. In order, and like some of these guys said, we're small, we have to help one another. I know in the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's spent all day on 2 different Sundays training Unicoi Search and Rescue. I know I have a scanner, and about a month ago, they called in a van down here near Walmart. It was wiggling all over the road. One of the deputies stopped the vehicle. They called back and said, Don't know if the man's drunk, we don't know if he's on drugs, we don't know. Well, somehow or another, his wife found out he had major problems. He hadn't taken his meds that day. And Adam Copas, I happened to go to Irwin as this was all happening. He was down on his hands and knees, and him, the director, trying to help that man. He stayed with him over an hour. He constantly is trying to put all these different groups together and bind them together so they all support one another. And I think at the meetings when he talks about the financials, it's real hard for him to give you an off-the-cuff answer because he's so precise. But that's what makes him so good at what he does, is he wants to make sure everything he says is right to the cent. Is that, you've seen that out of his, and we were really, really fortunate to have him too.
Very efficient. So, on his side, we share that.
Yes, yes.
So thank you, Mr. Coates, and I hope the little boy wins the game. No, they don't keep score, people all do that. Some people do. Oh, the parents keep score, yeah, not the league. But anyway, all right, next up, we have Selena Harmon with Unicoi Public Library. So Selena, join us up this mom. And welcome.
Thank you.
Am I doing this right? It's a PDF.
It is a PDF.
So I just scroll on down.
Yeah, it should have been. Because it's you.
Should I open it in something else?
I'm fine with it.
Just scroll on there.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me when.
And I'll go ahead and do this.
All right, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Selena Harmon. I'm the new director at the Unicoi County Public Library. Thank you so much for having me and granting me an audience tonight. I'll try not to be too long-winded. So first thing is, what has your library done? So taking a look at this, we have offered through grants, basic computer or technology skills. We're educating people within Word, Excel, the cloud, Gmail, just all of that. We are also offering author talks. We had a local author talk in March and had a great turnout for that. And Thomas G. Burton came and did another talk in March, and that turned out really well. We also have been offering real life skills series for job readiness, resume building, job searches, and then if you have a job, customer service. So all of those things that help you be successful. And just speaking to people's hobbies, we've offered digital photography as well. And all of this was presented to the community as free. So next one, please. So what are we doing? Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. This is not everything we've been able to accomplish in 6 months, but I did want to take up all of your time tonight. But we just launched our summer internship for teams. This is going to allow one lucky team each summer to complete an internship of 100 hours, and they'll get $1,000 of seed money to go towards entering a workforce, a vocational school, or a university. And it's really to help them get their best foot forward in the world, so to speak, because they're going to be learning everything from research skills, citations, to we are even thinking of partnering with locally owned businesses, teaching how to change a tire, just those balance a budget or a checkbook, just those skills that are going to help them succeed in adulthood. We have some Earth Day events coming up on April 22nd for youth and teens, and we're partnering with people in the community to make this happen. And then we have a poetry reading coming up on the 30th. So again, just a few of the things that we are doing. We also joined the Appalachian Trail Passport Program. We have a library stamp for their passports. This is encouraging hikers to come into our communities and spend their money. And when they're coming in and getting their passport stamp, we are referring them to our neighbors, AKA our local businesses, so that they're aware of them. So we're trying to network within the community and help each other. We're also offering curbside to those who still aren't comfortable coming in the library. I don't know if many of you know about Homeward Bound Books. This is a program for people with mobility or transportation issues who can't make it to the library. Well, we call and we talk with them weekly. And this is individuals and residents, but also in nursing homes or assisted living. And we're taking materials to them. And it's a real highlight of their lives. And it's also helping with cognitive function and memory. So we're very proud of that. And we partnered with the Monday Club to do a drive for shoes, Soles for Souls. This is a great program if you're not aware of it. It helps people who are entering the workforce. It gives them a nice pair of shoes to wear so they can go to interviews or what have you. And you can drop off your donations at the library through the 22nd of April if you want to contribute to that. Please. So in 6 months, we have landed several new partners. The Girl Scouts are going to be putting in a pollinator garden behind the library. The Boy Scouts are going to be building raised bed gardens, vegetable gardens. And of course, the Monday Club is funding that. We're working with the Unicoi County Extension Office so we can bring the community education on agribusiness or agriculture or health. Consumer sciences is built into that. Neighborhood Forest, that pairs with our Earth Day event. We managed to get 106 trees into children's hands to plant this Earth Day. Unicoi County Schools, did anyone see Light the Night with Literacy when we partnered with them? Okay, it was a great event, so successful, we're gonna do it annually. And what it did, got the children involved in literacy and literary-based creations. They submitted photographs, book reviews, and this was all for credit. And it went really, really well. East Tennessee State University, we're working with them to help reconnect people, non-traditional students who want to go back to college. So we have a connection there and helping people if they want to attain higher education. We're helping bridge that gap. The YMCA, we're partnering with them for a lot of youth programs. They're helping us with the Earth Day event, but we're also going to be providing story time and activities for their summer camp. And then of course, the Tennessee Department of Health, I've been working with the local health department to help disseminate community health news and try to get that out to you. So what are we offering? We are not just books, folks. We're a 21st century library, which is so much more, but we have tax forms. We also give you access to e-filing for free, because if you make under a certain amount, I don't know if you know that you can file your taxes for free, e-file them for free through the IRS. We also offer print, copy, and fax services. How many people here have a fax machine at home? So that, you do? Oh.
Never use it, but I do.
Okay, I didn't expect a yes. But we do offer that for nominal fees. DVD, we always have new movies. Don't go to Redbox or pay for Netflix. Come to the library and pick up a movie. The TWRA boating safety exam. This is a big one this time of year. So if you need a license to be on the lake, come to us. We can proctor that exam. Physical and digital resources. If you like audiobooks, if any of you, are you aware of Libby or Overdrive, where you can listen to audiobooks and read ebooks for free? A whole lot cheaper, free is, than paying for Kindle books or notebooks. And Reader's Advisory. I love talking books, and so does the staff. If there's somebody that you love to read, come in and see us, and we can probably suggest some other authors that you might like. What will we do? We have been working extremely hard to try to secure grants. I just finished a grant for hotspots. Now, I spoke a moment ago about partnering with the middle school. In that meeting, I found out there are at least 12, and this is just from the middle school, at least 12 children who do not have reliable access to the internet. We want to help remedy that, and we can. So I've written a grant for hotspots. We'll be getting a couple of those, and hopefully that'll help buffer that digital divide. Homeschool support. Actually, tomorrow there's a meet and greet for the homeschool co-op. We're tapping into that. We want to supplement what public schools and homeschoolers are doing. Not compete with them, but help them. English language learning based on demographics here. This is a need. And this is something that we're working on, and I've already reached out to the schools in Unicoi County, their ESL department, and they're ready to be on board whenever the money comes through. But the bottom line is that we're gonna do what we need to do to strengthen community. Our tagline is uniting community and promoting literacy, and that's what we intend to do wholeheartedly. So what can you do for your library? Well, we are in the process of reinstating the Friends of the Library, so please join us. It's gonna be a wonderful, wonderful group, and we're gonna do good things in the community. And invest in our library, and that's when I come to you, what I come to you with. So, excellent. So this was in the budget proposal that I've already submitted, but I am requesting $6,000. Our maintenance of effort has not increased in over a decade. And I went to the Labor Bureau and Statistics for the inflation calculator. And so $2011, $4,000 right now would be, I can't see that, 4811. So I've asked for 6,000, but even just getting inflation increase with the inflation, I think would be fair. But then again, if you can give more, that would always be appreciated, because we are, our finances are not good. So this is just a screenshot of what we're looking at as far as expenditures go. I know that you guys can't see that because I can't even see that. But we're looking at trying to get an overall budget of $139,000. And that's really just to sustain. That's not in excess of anything. Go to the next, unless you have questions about the budget. All right, so Tennessee categorizes libraries in levels. We are a level 3. That's based on service population, which is from 10,000 to 24,999. Don't know who chose that arbitrary number, but say Johnson City's a level 5, just to give you some perspective. There are a lot of state standards we're not meeting because we just can't. But of the 55 level 3 libraries in the entire state, we are 3rd from the bottom in funding. There are several libraries who do less circulation and receive more money from their municipal bodies. What that boils down to is there are areas where people aren't utilizing their library as much, but they're getting more money. So we're doing well, and we're growing our patron base. Circulation is growing. We're doing good things in the community, so we need that funding. So a few reasons why you should fund your library. Number one thing, every single community deserves a good public library. They do. It's a truly democratic institution where everyone is welcome. There's something for everyone. It's very important. And our work naturally aligns with your mission. I took a look at your strategic plan and pulled from there. And I just wanted to point out that your mission is, the town of Unicoi's mission is to encourage the hardworking, determined spirit of our citizens by responding to community needs with quality services. And that's exactly what we're doing with hotspots, with planned ESL classes, with all of the things that we're trying to do. We're listening to the community, gauging what they want and what they need, and trying to provide it on a shoestring budget. Okay, we are relevant. Again, we're not just books. Up here are population characteristics. Veterans, I don't know if you know, but our youth services, they will create cards we did in February and send them to the veterans in our community. And they loved it. I think sometimes they're forgotten about. The foreign-born population, and also those who speak something other than English at home. Those numbers are there, and there's a need for it, and we want to address that need. Another one, we talked about the digital divide earlier. Computer usage, only 67% have broadband internet. Again, that comes back to the hotspots and trying to help. Education, we can help with that. Our high school graduation rate is 85, and then a bachelor's degree or higher is 14%. And I'm not saying that we need to push everybody into higher education, that we could help them transition into workforce or transition into a vocational trade. So we are relevant and we're here to help. So you might want to, or you'll need to understand the framework of our funding. There are two foundations associated with the library, but they are separate from, they're their own independent things. The UCPL Foundation is what funds our daily operations. The Tony Board, or the Tony Foundation, maintains only the historic building. So that money can't be touched for any daily operations. We get a combined, our combined steady income is $92,500. That's with the two allocations from the UCPL Foundation. The thing about that foundation is at the rate we're going, that will be depleted in 6 years, leaving us only with $52,500 from the combined municipality as income. Now, the $92,500 that we're getting right now doesn't even cover payroll. And that's not because we're making big bucks. The average wage in Unicoi County is $15.64. McDonald's is hiring at $10 an hour. I have girls who work at the library that have been there for 5, 8 years, and they're making $7.75 or $8.50 an hour. So just want to put that out there. Let's see. I think that's just about it. Sorry, I can't see.
Yeah.
So, once that money it runs out, I don't know where we'll be except layoffs or closing the doors. And that's just the truth. And I hate to say it because that's not the route that I really want to take. But we do have a big problem here that if you want a library in this county, we're going to have to fund it. Because there's no way that we can make it without you. So please just keep that in mind. Thank you. And do you have any questions? Because I'm ready to answer them. No?
Well, I have
Yes, ma'am.
our local press, our local Irwin Record, can they help you? Because you've told me a lot of things I didn't know you offered.
Oh,
So can you, but anyways, get some free press from them to tell people and get the schools to put some of this information out? Because a lot of kids probably would love to know this.
well, that's what we're working on. We really do need to raise our visibility. I think we've been sitting quietly for a while, and that's not an insult to anybody in the past or anything. That's just, we are on social media. We've ramped that up. I write a weekly article in the Irwin Record, and, I'm sorry, in the Irwin Record, and we've made the front page quite a few times, plus press has covered some things too. So we're trying to get the word out there, word of mouth, and now that you know, and you can always call me. I'm approachable, and I love talking to the community, getting to know you, because that allows me to figure out what it is you need and want, and then I can educate you about all the things we're doing, because libraries are just amazing. I believe in them. Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Where is the library?
It is located at 201 Nola Chucky Avenue in the historic train station that was erected in 1925. So we're right over there by Union Street Gallery and Seagull's Pottery. Please come and see us. I see all kinds of new faces, unfamiliar faces. I see some familiar faces, but I would love to see you walk through those doors. Yes, ma'am.
When do you open the photography class?
That was through a top grant. We did that online in February, but we'll have another series coming up. And if that's something that you want in between, reach out and we will make it happen. Yes. Yes, sir.
Do you have any kind of program for individual children or PayPal or something like that, that for individuals in the community could donate?
Yes, we actually have a campaign on our Facebook page right now. That's specifically for the teen internship, but we do have PayPal set up to where you can donate to the library, and we would certainly appreciate it because your return on investment is solid.
What's the address?
I'm sorry.
What's the address to the PayPal? Is it PayPal.me?
Yeah, PayPal me / and then it's Unicoi County Public Library. Yes, and I can provide that information to you if you want to reach out to me, or if anybody's having trouble finding it, but it is on our Facebook page.
Okay, so that'd be a good thing to put the newspaper too.
Yes, sir, it will. I will do that. Thank you for the idea. Can't always think of everything, even though we're trying.
Selena, thank you. You did a really good job. I think I've brought them our perspective on what all happens at the library. I love libraries, but I'm gonna have to admit, I don't access one here. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just love the whole books in my hand. It's terrible. I just can't.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We're open
But
now.
anyway,
Come in, get some books. I'll
you
bring
really
you over to-
inspired me to do better. So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
you've done a really nice job. I
Hey, that
appreciate
means a
it.
lot.
You've done a really nice job. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Have a great evening.
Have a good evening.
It wasn't showing the signs on the, because I had this to where it was like, wouldn't show anybody else, so when I shared it, I thought I shared the screen, it didn't work. If you'll email that to me, a link, I'll get it posted on something. Social media websites, we'll get it posted somewhere, and the same for the fire department, I think they've already gone, but I'll have to extend the same offer because it was not showing to the crowd.
Oh, okay.
Thank
All
you.
right,
all
thank you.
again. Have a great
Have a good
night.
evening.
Come see me, please.
Okay. Moving on now, our next item is going to be to give opportunity for citizens. If you'd like to speak on something that is not on the agenda, it appears as though Ms. Kessler has a couple of slips that have been turned in. Does anybody have anything they would like to hand over to her, or are we good? All right, well, Ms. Kessler, call out who we have.
Jean Mull.
I said, of course, I start having chapter party as I got up here. No. I'm Jean Mull. I live at 131 Pine Hill Road. Last year alone, I put in over 100 hours volunteer hours, most of them in this area, some with my church and some with the history group. Recently, I came out of the hospital and was asked to work on the Wednesday after Easter. So these two ladies could have time off with their families. And I was answering the phones as I was taught. Town of Unicoi, this is Jean. How may I help you? And an alderman on this board was very, very, very rude. I was ready to pack it in and go home if I had somebody to lock the door that day. That's not right to treat your employees or your volunteers that way. But it's not a dictatorship. This is a board of aldermen and mayor, or mayor and alderman. And I don't appreciate it, not at all. And I can be a rough, but when I'm doing my job and doing it correctly, I don't expect to be treated that way.
Thank you, Jean. I'm sorry on behalf of the board and apologize that you had that experience, but thank you for sharing that. All right, another one.
Jerry Peterson.
Yeah, my name is Jerry Peterson. I live at 102 West Buffalo Springs Road. Our house fronts Springbrook. And for 2 years, since Mr. Forbes bought the piece of property in front of our house, it's been nothing. Every time it rains, the mud, gravel, rocks, washing out in the road. We have called the town of Unicoi several times. We talked to Terry Haynes. He says he can't do anything until the town of Unicoi tells him to. Right before the last election in November, it came to rain. We called, and in 30 minutes, somebody was out there looking at it because it was election. The gentleman works for the town of Unicoi. He said, yes, this definitely needs to be ditched the way it was before Mr. Forbes destroyed the property. That's the last we heard. Not another word said. Nothing has still been done. There was a ditch there before Mr. Forbes bought the property, and we never had this problem. He came in, he cut a road in, never put a drain pipe or anything, so every time it rains, it comes straight down the gravel road out into the highway on Springbrook. We drive through it, we carry it into our carport, mud on the vehicles. Motorcycles travel that road every day of the whirlwind pretty well. It's very dangerous. We went out there with a shovel and shoveled the gravel off, blew it off with a blower, the mud, to try to make it a little bit nicer. And I don't know if any of you even went out there and looked at it, because this has been complained about numerous times. There's still nothing been done. What do we have to do and who do we talk to get this problem solved before someone on a motorcycle gets hurt? I mean, what's it gonna take?
Let me just double check. Your first name is Jerry?
Jerry,
Okay. Jerry, I have been aware, I am aware that these phone calls are coming. I think this is not an excuse, this is where we are, but even after I get done saying what I'm gonna say, I will assure you that I will continue to talk about it and figure out what we're gonna do, okay? So let me give you that assurance. I know that people have been out to look, I know that people have taken pictures. I know that people have been, and I think there's been a little bit of this idea, that idea, this idea, and I think maybe we haven't, possibly we haven't brought it all to fruition in terms of everybody sit at the table, what are we gonna do about it? Okay, and that I will take care of, and I will respond.
well, it's,
Okay,
you know,
I will respond.
it's not rocket science. It's gonna take about 150-foot ditch that was there before. Then the water can go through the ditch and under the road, which there's already a culvert under the road.
And I've heard that
And
discussion.
that way it doesn't run out into the paved road on Springbrook. You know, like I say, it's not a big deal. We can't understand, and I know I'm not the only one. I've talked to people too. You know, it would take an hour and a half of work for a backhoe and a dump truck, and you were done.
And I think it boils down to nothing much more than assumptions, that assumption that somebody else did something, assumption that somebody did something, an assumption. I'll get to the bottom of it and we'll follow back up.
Another question, why, when Mr. Forbes went up there and cut the road in, why was he not made to put in a drain line to start with under the road that he cut in? Is that something the town of Unicoi had to give him a permit to do?
I cannot give you an answer for that. That would be before my time as mayor, and I wasn't involved in planning. I don't have an
Well,
answer for
there's
that.
people on the board right now that was in there when Mr. Lynch was here too. So it's not anything that's just popped up in the last
Could you give me your address one more time, please?
102 West Buffalo Springs. Our road is private, where you cut off the Springbrook. We had that road paved, we maintained it, we had it sealed every other year. So when you come off Springbrook, all our mud and everything comes down our driveway.
For what it's worth to you, Mr. Cooper here has got a list that he's been compiling, and I've been sending him information of roads I've been driving on that need similar. I don't know about yours, but
Well, Mr. Cooper was here when Johnny Lynch was here, so he should be aware of what's going on, but still nothing.
well, again,
Not to go forward.
for what it's worth, we didn't get, this board didn't get to decide back then.
Yeah, I was on the board. I got no communication about this, but I'll get to the bottom of it.
Can I say something also other than my name, but not my name, his wife, and I've spoken many times. And also, while they're talking about that, underneath that is a tile also that water should come through. That is probably, and my husband has done it, dug it out several times. It's still
Clogged up.
full of a lot of gravel, so that,
Okay.
when you're addressing that, if that could be cleared out too. Like I said, eventually, you know, when these rains come down, I mean, and if you look back, and we've got some video, they've closed their road. They have closed the road because there's so much water coming through there, it is dangerous. And like you said, I've got rocks out of our road, at the beginning of our road this big. Luckily, there's not been an accident, but
Give me,
so one day that one
Give me
day.
well, I was gonna say, give me till the end of the week and I'll call back, yes.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Please.
I have actually gone out many times to look at your road, and I've had the maintenance boys go out and clean the gravel out of the road 2 or 3 times.
Yes, they have.
It is on the list to get done. Unfortunately, it has to be done by Terry Haynes.
Yes.
We don't have a trailer to put that in. We do have a backhoe. You're on the list, and there's a long list of things that we're catching up with right now.
Well, this has been going on for 2 years.
And I talked to Terry Haynes,
I
and he said he was
wasn't-
waiting on a phone.
I didn't go on the board until November. And so, but we do have a list. You go down and look, Debbie's got a copy of it. I update it continually, but, you're on the list. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it.
Well, those two, for what it's worth, I'm gonna say, we're still working on the 2020-21 budget. The new budget starts July the 1st. We're working on the old budget that this board, well, some of us didn't have anything to do with. Me personally, I want a big road budget for starting July 1st. We've got approximately $250,000 left in the budget to be spent. I would like to have a bigger donation added to that. We need to be able to see we've done road work in Unicoi. I mean, we need to look around. We don't need to have to hunt. And again, he's got a huge list. I've been feeding him names of things that I've seen. And we've got a major problem, but that doesn't have anything to do with projects like yours.
Well, some of the road list projects though are ditches and culverts that are
Yes.
all clogged up.
You have our phone number.
I have your phone number.
Anything that I can do or my wife can do, any information, please call us.
Well, as an example,
We're happy to do anything we can.
as an example, on the way here tonight, I stopped by and looked at a ditch that Andy Landers mentioned that's on the list, okay? So I am looking at all the things that people call in.
Thank you.
Okay?
That's all we ask.
Yeah, he's kind of the road guy right now. So if I get emails or I get phone call messages,
But I say call us anytime.
We've got a road that only has 8 or 10 families on it. And it's got what do you call that, a grate. Here's the center line. The grate is about 4 feet by this, and it's about that far down in the ground. And nobody's ever called and reported it, and evidently, everybody just drives around it, but if you had a small car, it burst your tires.
Well, you know, when
If you-
something bad happens, someone gets hurt or there's an accident, that's when people start paying attention.
Yeah.
Until it does, then it just sort of, you know,
But we
outside our
have,
mind.
we know we have these issues, we have them all over this community, and I think we started a workshop Friday, right?
Mhm.
And then next Friday. And the roads is gonna be a major thing that I'm sure we're gonna talk about, and you're welcome to come back and talk to us anytime, or you can call every one of us, and you're welcome, okay?
You get tired of us calling.
One of the big projects that I'm sure all of y'all aware of is we have Pioneer Hampton, Nuclear Pioneer Factory. We're working on Massachusetts Avenue. And that's been a big deal for many, many years. And we're working on that one right now. And we have to approach it. It was neglected previously. So we are proactive in trying to get this stuff finished.
And I think simple things like you've been talking about, it would remedy a lot of people's problem. I mean, nobody wants to take mud into their garage or their carport or their
I'm tired
driveway.
of it, to be honest, I'm very tired of it.
It's been going on for so long, you just finally come to a point where
And I don't even drive into my garage, you know, because it's like, why do I want to make more work for myself?
I agree.
And it's just frustrating.
But thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
there's a finger raising over here. Yes, sir. Introduce
Sorry.
yourself.
I'm Travis Fisher. We actually bought that property for Mr. Forbes. I need to come say hello to you. We've actually cut a ditch or attempted to temporarily on the other side of the road to divert it out of that, down the road, that pea gravel, whatever's flooding the ditch. I think it's pretty much what stopped it now. The last one was a lot better. I think now where it's eroding down is where it's on the building's property down below us now. It's in the ditch. As the water comes down.
You own the property, that's the actual old road where Mr. Ford
Yes.
cut in,
Yes,
so
sir.
that's yours.
Yes, sir. But the property in front of which has which now I think the last two is just wash the gravel out of the ditch as the water comes down through there. So all
You've seen it, you know there's not a ditch, it has to come out the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not-
there's
it
no
doesn't
way.
know where to go.
right. And I think
Y'all exchange insurance company numbers and y'all do.
We're aware, we're aware.
Okay, y'all are fine.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just, okay, we're gonna keep moving. That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Continue your conversation. Okay. I'm glad they got that worked out. All right, any other comments?
No.
Was there anything submitted, by any other means?
No.
Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to speak? Anyone, unmute and let us know if you'd like to speak. No? Okay, well then we will continue on. Okay, old business. Old business is ordinance 2021-285. This is an ordinance to change a speed limit on Ridgewood Road. Let me get to my place here. On Ridgewood Road, this is a second reading. And I don't think there was a lot of discussion. Have you been able to monitor it all on Ridgewood?
Yeah, there's been some issues. We've, actually, I went out and spoke to a couple of people who was on there. It's kind of hard to run radar on that road, but it's something we can do. You know, we've monitored some speed. There is some people who have moved pretty quick on that road, but it's kind of few because there's not a lot of traffic.
Okay, and we're gonna need to, are we purchasing new signage to go up as well? Yeah, signs ordered. Okay,
We can, I think we have an inventory of the signs.
some signs, okay,
And Jay's been out on that road too.
okay, okay, all right, good. All right, so this was just to reduce the speed limit because of the danger on the road. So if y'all would give that some consideration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Second. All right, motion and second to approve the regulation of speed limit on Ridgewood Road to reduce it, and any other discussion? May we vote, please?
Alderman Bennett?
Yes.
Alderman Redford?
Yes.
Alderman Ray?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Bowen?
Yes. Okay, there is no other old business, so now we will move to new business. Consideration and approval of the RW Estates Bridge Replacement Project. It is a 100% reimbursable TDOT project. Review of bids and selection. Jill Workman and Kara Tysinger Hampton is not here. I believe Gary Tysinger is here in her place.
Jill?
Oh, there she is. I'm so sorry. Jill is here. And Gary Tysinger. Okay. If we have any questions, but before we ask her any questions, let's consider a motion to approve the bids, approve the bid, and she can talk about. Well, we all been notified who received, who had the lowest bid, right?
Yeah, they're all listed there in the
Okay, all of
paperwork.
what our bids were. Okay, a motion to,
I move. We accept the proposal.
Let's see.
motion second. Anybody have any other questions? And then I'm gonna give Jill, if you'd like to say a few words.
Any questions?
Anything at all? There was, I'll just say briefly, there was a discussion about a wing of the bridge and a water line going through. That has been resolved. At first, it was fearful it was going to be very, very, very costly, but I think a resolution was found that was minimal. So we're good to go. So that was problem averted. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes.
It was a little more than what we were originally posting as the price. I understand it's still 100% grant.
But we go first and then get reimbursed.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right. Ms. Kessler, how about?
Alderman Bennett?
Yes.
Alderman Redford?
Yes.
Alderman Ray?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Bowen?
Yes. Okay, next after that will be consideration and approval of an engagement between the Town of Unicoi and Blackburn Children's Seagull to provide 2021 fiscal year financial oversight and preparation of year-end financial statements and schedules. Blackburn Children's Seagull has been involved in some monthly end or periodic updates and oversight in our financials. So this is kind of an a continuation or a
Yes,
final
well, we're in a
activity
contract with them right now, and then this would be for the upcoming fiscal year.
for the, yeah, okay. So this is some continued activity for financial oversight that Blackburn Children's Seagull is providing. So if there'd be a motion, anyone?
Make a motion, we accept.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept that Blackburn Children's Seagull provide 2021 year-end financial oversight and preparation of financial statements and schedules. Any further discussion? Or any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Boyd.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is again a financial item, and that is that we would contract with Mickey Ellis CPA to conduct our annual audit and to prepare the fiscal year audit to be submitted to the state of Tennessee comptroller. This again is a routine financial activity that occurs annually. And Mickey Ellis has been doing that for us for the past few years. So we, again, are proposing that we just engage with Mickey Ellis to do that again. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Again, to engage Mickey Ellis CPA for our audit purposes. Anybody have any questions? All right, hearing no other questions or discussion, Ms. Kessler, you call the roll.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Boyd.
Yes. Okay, next item is motion and consideration for Strawberry Festival to be held at Unicoi Elementary School Field, Saturday, May 15th, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We've already had quite a bit of discussion about that. Before we go into much depth, is there a motion to approve? Anyone?
I so moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and a second that the Strawberry Festival will be held at Unicoi Elementary School on the 15th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Any conversation, any questions or discussion?
I just think it's glad we can have it this year.
I think we probably stuck our necks out a little bit, but it's a good thing. It needs to
Most of
happen.
the response has been positive.
It's outside. I think I've been to some other outside things in the area. I think it can work. I think people are excited. Okay, any other discussion about Strawberry Festival? We are excited. Ashley has reported that there really good progress, interested vendors, food, crafts, otherwise, donations, sponsors. I mean, it's just really looking good. It's just really looking like it's going to be a really successful event. So let's just hold off the rain.
No, our word. We're gonna have a beautiful, bright, sunny day. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Positive thinking.
We're gonna have snow. Okay, no. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You never know what weather we're gonna have. Anyway, looking forward to it. Okay, Ms. Kessler, call the roll, please.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Boyd.
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion of reconsideration for engineering study of Paddle Creek Road between the town of Unicoi and Tyne-Singer-Hampton. We had originally had some conversation with Tyne-Singer-Hampton about doing a study on Paddle Creek. There grew to be some hesitation, so this is up for reconsideration. So to open the discussion, is there a motion that I can hear from someone?
I'll make a motion to open the discussion.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second that we're going to give reconsideration to the engineering study of Paddle Creek Road. Any, y'all discuss, any questions, comments?
Well, I'd like to say, in looking over and reconsidering that Paddle Creek has been studied by the state, it's been studied by our county road superintendent, and there's no simple solution. It has a lot of complications. It has a rock cliff on one side, a creek on the other. Power lines would have to be moved, a new water line installed, right-of-ways would have to need to be purchased. And I talked to Tom Bryant, the Unifor Water Department manager, and he said in repairing a leak that was 110 feet, it cost $27,000, and that was the lowest bid. The top bid was $78,000 just for the leak. And they also repaired another leak that was $10,000 just for that. And he said if they in replacing a new water line, if you get any rock at all, you've got state has extra requirements that would cost a lot. And he said there was a dip in the road, and with that, they'd have to haul in a lot of dirt. And Terry Haynes said it would cost between $1,200 to $1,400 a week to rent a machine to remove the cliff because they can't blast. And he said that, you know, he didn't know how long it would take even, you know, to do that. And by widening the road, and that road is only 5/10 of 1 mile, that it would bottleneck into Carter County, which would be a danger, you know, when you widen one road and you do the other. Carter County has most of that road. It's not heavily traveled and it's used as a shortcut. And this will not bring value to our town. It is not a top priority. I don't think we need to spend $25,500 on a road improvement study. I think Massachusetts is the one we need to focus on.
Okay, discussion.
Well, I would like to say that, I don't know if you all have driven that road last night, you two, 3 or 4 aldermen here, but when the bridge was out at Arlington, we all had to use that road to get in and out for several weeks. And there's more traffic on it than you think. And this is only a study. This isn't any spending of money to shovel dirt or rock. It's just, what can we do in the future? It's not saying we're going to do it today, tomorrow. It's saying, what will it look like when we have to do it? And if we're focusing on roads, then we should be looking at roads. We've got several road projects. Yes, Massachusetts is one of the big ones we're looking at. But we've got several more big ones. We've got roads that water's undercutting the pavement. Springbrook is an example. We got that one we've got to look at. But this is just to get a study to see what we can do when the time comes. And if we keep putting it off, we'll never get it.
Well, in also in the amount that it would probably cost, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this project, and $25,500 when we already know it's going to cost a big amount of money to do it. And also with with his whenever they go to preliminary design, there's also 25 other listings underneath of it could be added to this study, and the study itself could get on up to $40,000 or so. I mean, it goes on and on. And we already know it's going to be expensive, so at any time, you know, and this too, this only holds for so long on the agreement, you know, 30 days or whatever for the agreement. And I just think that that's going to be a big expense that our town does not have the budget for.
Well, we will look at Massachusetts as an example. How many years should we have done Massachusetts if we put it off year after year after year? And now we're having to do something on Massachusetts, and that's because the town has neglected to do it. I'm trying to be proactive and saying, what can we do in the future? And if we don't start looking, we're not going to do it. That's the reason I want to keep it on.
I make a motion to table. A second.
Okay, we have at this point a motion now to table the Paddle Creek, the Paddle Creek Road Improvement Study, engineering study. If there's any more discussion on that, we can discuss the tabling, but the tabling will usurp any other discussion or any other motion. So that's what we'll have to consider. Yes, ma'am.
Best I remember, we already voted 5-0 to do this. So who put it on hold
It came back before the board.
just now? But we all voted, when we voted to do Massachusetts, we all voted for 5-0 to do this. And I thought that's what that meant. We'd have to study.
I think you always have a right to reconsider. That's why it's on the agenda again.
One of the issues is that we're looking at a major budget coming up, and as we all know, we've got roads as our top priority for this new budget that we're planning. And I think we're going to have to be very, very careful with our expenditures right now. We're going to have to look at where we are before we start committing ourselves to a study that we know that we couldn't possibly fund. We could return to it 6 months, a year, but we certainly, if we're going to tackle Massachusetts Avenue and several other roads within the area, I know my road's all pieces. I mean, there's a massive amount of work out there that needs to be done, and we just have to see where our money is before we start, I guess, donating money for, not donating, but supplying money for studies that we know we can't possibly tackle at this point. There's no way we can.
But, you know, as I just mentioned, this is just a study. This may be 5 years out. It may be 10 years out.
Right, but the money is not 5 years out. The money has to be.
We have the money to do it now. We're also going to get about $1 million from the government.
Any day now.
It might cost $1 million to
Do it.
I hope we do get $1 million. I hope.
Road
I'd
is
like
a
to see
major
it.
project for the town, and we have to be proactive with it.
Well, again, being proactive doesn't mean that we overextend the money that we already have. And again, we're working on the old budget. We've got money that has already been appropriated until we're ready to start our new budget year. So we've got to be very, very careful right now where we put what we make our commitments to. And you see, we always have people that need us for various things. Roads are a top priority. We all promised that during our campaign. We're going to do our best to meet the needs of the public, but also we have to be very, very careful with the money that's spent, especially for something that could be a long-term study that has no end to it.
Well, and I think the danger too, whenever you got a wide road that you widen only we're talking about 5/10 of 1 mile in this project. And when you do, and you bottleneck it into Carter County, that could be a danger right there. And then also there's the creek on the one side, and TDEC looks a lot of that, because I know the water department told me just at the school, they had to do some extra work because of TDEC, because of frogs there. So this project could not even be passed by TDEC to begin with after you put that much money.
Hellbenders.
The hellbenders, I'm sorry, a lizard.
Yeah. So, and this may not even be approved by TDEC after you did that. And $25,500, I think, is a lot of money for that study. And I just don't think that it warrants it for the town budget.
All right, I'm going to try to bring both sides together on this one, okay? And I'm going to say, I would suggest that we need to have a roads work session. Roads, okay? I don't know how this vote will go tonight. The proposal is that we table or not, it can, if the vote is we table, we can always bring it back up and reconsider. You know, at any given month, we can reactivate the desire to pursue this, should it get tabled tonight, okay? So I propose our next work session be roads. Every alderman get a list of the prioritized road list that we already have, that if it's already made, that's already produced, hanging on your wall, right? Okay, I need a validation. Okay. Mr. Cooper's list of road projects and associated ditches, culverts, all of that. And we all sit, and I'll bring paper that sticks to the wall, and we'll start prioritizing what we think need to get worked on. Do you think that's fair? So we're can all get on the same page with where to go first?
That's feasible.
And I think it doesn't warrant that we have to pay $25,500.
Well, and this decision to move, well, we're tabling right now, but, or at least we're not tabling, we're gonna vote if we're gonna table or not. Be careful what you say. But anyway, this can be brought back up anytime. Okay, the motion before us is to table the engineering study on Powder Creek. Roll call.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ryder,
No.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
No.
Mayor Bowen.
Yes. We'll bring it up next month if you want. Okay. All right. Now, next item, F, ordinance 2021-287, consideration for a first reading of an ordinance in the town of Unicoi to amend ordinance 2015-238 to adopt the international building codes by reference. I think this is a housekeeping detail, that this update for building code Any
This puts
comments
us in compliance with
with
the
the
state.
state's expectations? Okay, so this is a basic maintenance, upkeep, housekeeping item. Can I hear a motion?
Make a motion for approval.
Second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to adopt the International Building Code by reference to keep us and put us in compliance with the state. Any discussion?
Question.
Yes.
Vote.
Oh, do you have, oh, you don't need the discussion. You're ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bowen.
Yes. Okay, item G is a resolution to once again give consideration for approval for the Amphitheater grant project. We've had this in discussion many, many times. There is in your packet the original resolution associated with the Amphitheater grant project, the original resolution. The land the amphitheater sits on was going to, the plan was for that to be the match. Again, if the amphitheater project were undertaken, though, the town would have to front money and they get reimbursed. We have had work sessions where we've discussed this. We've had lots of discussion, but I will open it up now for a motion so that we can continue discussion. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to open it for discussion.
Let's say, we'll do that. Second?
Second.
Okay, so we're gonna discuss. Okay, now, so I'm gonna continue with some discussion. Well, okay. It's my opinion that the amphitheater project was not well thought out. It lacks some considerable features, including parking, adequate parking. The original design that was brought to the county of Unicoi did not meet the expectations of town leadership that had submitted the project for a design. So the project was redesigned, and the redesign bumped the potential price of the project by considerable amounts of money that our land would not be sufficient to be a match. So it would require a lot of money out of the county employee's pocket. There is a relationship between First Tennessee Development District and the town, and most every municipality that benefits from design services, project bidding services, grant management, that I have come to understand more fully. I think our board understands more fully than they may have prior. I think we need to give this project consideration. I believe what has been submitted or what is sitting ready to be submitted is the full design, even after the modifications that did bump the price of the project. And that was enough months ago that the price of the project may even exceed beyond that. But I think the town owes those who work with our first development district, First Tennessee Development District, that support us by managing these grants and pursuing these grants with us. We owe them the duty to give this serious consideration. We've had it tabled, we've had it on hold, and that's what I have to say. So that's discussion. Now, is there a motion out there to approve the amphitheater grant project?
I make a motion to approve the amphitheater grant project.
And I second that, and that's the zero grant match is what we're looking at, isn't it correct?
Correct, depending on, yeah, we'll have to see what the bid comes in.
Yeah.
Okay, we have discussion. We got it right now. We got discussion right now.
Well, no disrespect, but you told us that as a board, we didn't have enough room for parking. If they guarantee that we don't spend anything, we just don't have enough room to park.
I have serious concerns.
And,
I will have to say, you're
and we
absolutely right.
met, these ladies over here, they're worth about $25,000. I understand totally where they're coming from. But they also told us in our grant meeting, Mr. Ken Ray, he told us, we're looking at least $60,000 more out of this town's pocket. And they couldn't quantify what that's gonna give us. It can be more. That doesn't include the upkeep, maintenance. This lady right here trying to book events, the cost of those events, the cost of cleanup, the cost of maintenance. If we're counting nickels, we better start counting nickels right here, because this thing can easily be another $75,000 if it's not in any budget.
And you are absolutely correct. You are correct.
And I mean, I'm serious. I mean,
And moving with this approval doesn't commit us to the project. It permits us to just having the bids go out for the project as it is designed. It doesn't commit us to the project.
yeah, but these folks that might bid on it, they may think we're terribly serious and want it. And we get the word out that we're just fishing. We may never get anybody to bid on anything else we want to do, because, I mean, under what conditions could we accept any of their proposals?
Well, if it doesn't meet the specifications of the design.
Yeah, but what if they do? What if they do? We're committed. I don't think we want to get ourselves in a committee situation. Maybe I'm wrong, but man, I don't mean to try on that dress and wear it and buy it. I'm not even going to take it off the rack. I'm just being serious.
Well, I know in August is the time that it's the deadline, and this is to move, and like I said, the state did do that. We're getting the bid to see what it is. We don't know, it could be even higher. At least I think Kathy made the point that the state has gone out of the way to do a lot of work. There's been a lot of people wrote on this grant that has been involved in the grant, has spent a lot of time on the grant, and I think out of respect for that, we should at least bid it out and see what comes from there. And as far as parking, there could be around the kitchen thing, it could be even paid more, or put gravel or stuff. They can always work out stuff. You can just kind of like, if you want something bad enough, you can work it out. If you don't, you can find 1,000 reasons not to do it.
Well, one of the things that I think y'all are all overlooking is that, yes, we got a 248K match, but at the time we pay the fees and stuff, right now, we're looking at $210,000 period that we have there. We can't build that amphitheater for $210,000. And if we're gonna be wise with our money, this is not the best place to put it. Sorry.
You know what? You know, I can't say for everybody on this board, but I know who I campaigned for. We campaigned that some of this stuff that only a few people get to use, we wouldn't do it. And not everybody in this town wants this. They would rather have their roads paved, their ditches cleaned out.
This isn't committing us to any road.
In order if we're ever gonna grow and get economic and get people in here to look at our town, I think we've got to grow if we're gonna have our town. We can look at all different angles, but we gotta have some kind of picture for our town.
Am I correct, or is that too bold? This, to bid it out does not seal the deal for any money.
We always, excuse me, Mayor, we always reserve in the bidding process the right to reject offers.
There's no commitment. There's no financial commitment.
No.
No
But you know,
financial commitment.
I disagree with y'all that we are committed to these people that's done this work. They're been paid. Or they will be paid, whether we use the grant or whether this town has to pay. You know, that's part of their job. That's what they do every day. They're not working free. I mean,
I'm just talking about the people in the town, the people here. Some of them has wrote up the grant that has spent a lot of time and it showed an interest in our town. And that's the people I'm talking about, that they didn't get a penny, they didn't do it, they didn't want to do it, that they wanted to see some things come to our town. And that's the reason why some people even moved to our town, because of that, because it is a small rural place. And it is important to them, some of our roots and what we can do.
I have an audience member who had raised their hand to speak. Yes, please tell us who you are again. I know you told us, but.
My name is Michelle Warner. I'm wondering what kind of income for the town this week? What uses do you see?
The uses that were proposed, I cannot quantify income. I think that I'm gonna suggest, I don't know, just gonna be an assumption, that when it was originally idealized, you know, and brought, that, that it was for community use, not necessarily income or pay to generate income. It was gonna be more community available for service. The high school, the drama programs, the music programs at the high school, ETSU has music programs, drama programs. Of course, many folks in the county of Unifor are aware of picking on the porch, you know what I mean? People could gather to do that. We could recruit bands in, activities. I mean, you could even do a high school graduation. You know, I mean, there are multiple uses that I think are quite varied. But she's correct then that somebody has to coordinate all that. But
It's on the side of the hill.
and
It's not.
well,
on
that's
the-
what an amphitheater is.
Yeah, but it's near, I mean,
Here, but
legs like mine won't negotiate where I might have to be to get there.
well, there's handicap and ADA parking. But however, let me just go back to finish this response to this right here. I think, Michelle, just in all honesty, I have been a member of the board for a while. Ms. Radford has been a member of the board for a while. And way back, I think Ms. Radford voted for it. I voted against it.
I was never on the board when any of this came up.
When the amphitheater wasn't, okay, we've got a document right here that I have voted against it, like that.
Could it be like an expansion to the Strawberry Festival or something like that?
Well, that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem is, not part of the problem, part of what brings us where we are right here today is that we are dealing with, I do not have a really good word. The only good word I have is fallout. That's not a good word, but that's the only one I got right now, from prior administration, decision makers. It was not in the heart of these board members to go that direction, but yet it's laying on our table for us to make a decision. I think that's probably the fairest way to describe how this discussion and how we're having to approach it. Does that make sense? So is that a fair summation of?
I'd like to make a motion, we leave it on hold.
I don't think we
I
can
think
leave
we
it
already
on
have a
hold.
motion on the
I
table
think
to
this is the
approve.
point up or
Oh,
down,
table it.
because of August, it's been the deadline.
Yeah, if it doesn't go out for bid now, there's not enough time to finish it by the end of the grant.
There's not enough
I
time.
think we'll be it. Override those others.
It sure does. All right, we have a motion out to table this. Is there a second to table?
She said, she already said.
Second.
You second the table?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right now, we have a
Roger
motion
has a
to
second
approve
table.
I say.
from Debbie and then Wanda, and you're making a motion to table.
Your motion.
Which overrides.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, now.
Okay, so there's a motion to table and Alderman Cooper, Vice Mayor Cooper has seconded it. Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's pass her call roll, please.
And you're voting first on the motion to
Oh,
table.
I'm sorry.
The motion to put it out to bid. So this is a preliminary motion as to whether you're going to table the motion which was made to approve it. Is everybody clear where you are procedurally?
Yes, we're voting on whether or not to table.
The
The
motion
discussion.
which was made.
Yes.
To
To bid.
put it out
To bid.
to bid.
Okay, we're tabling the motion to bid.
We're tabling.
We're tabling.
That's what we're voting on.
We're voting on
What
whether
the
to
vote is
table.
right now is whether to table your motion.
Yes, we're tabling her motion.
Judy's motion, correct?
Tabling your motion and Debbie's.
Okay, let me ask you, wait. I thought a table overrode everything.
It comes first, it does not override anything. It comes first, there's a motion, a second, then the roll call on the decision on that motion will determine whether you vote on the primary motion.
Okay, roll call for tabling the motion to approve.
Alderman Bennett,
I vote no, but do you understand what we're, okay. I think there's a little more clarification.
No means you want to keep the approval motion open. Voting no means you want to keep the approval motion open.
Well, wait a minute then. Okay, I thought we were talking about tabling.
right, you're voting to table.
You don't want to table
I don't
it.
want to table it.
Correct.
So you're gonna vote no.
That's right. That's
It
what I
does need
said.
double checkers to that. You did right. You did what you wanted. You did what.
Yeah, y'all confused me. I had it right.
We started out.
Alderman Radford,
No.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
No.
Okay.
So now we need to, that motion dies. So now we need to deal with whether to approve. So now that motion is back open for either discussion or vote. Do we need more discussion? We ready to vote?
I think we're ready to vote.
Ready to vote. Roll call, please. This is to approve
To be
the
bid.
bid
To bid it out.
on the amphitheater project.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
No.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
No.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Now, our next similar discussion is going to be related again to a project that was initiated before any of us were members of any decision-making authority whatsoever in the town. And this is 2021-332. And it is a resolution to approve the bids that would be required to move forward with the Buffalo Valley Connector Trail. Now, before open for motion, again, it is my understanding, assumption, my experience that the extent of this trail has changed periodically through the process. It has been given back, reconsidered, talked about, changed. Originally, it was going to be from the Pinnacle Trailhead down under the interstate up here to the visitor center and then back down out to Maple Grove and then even potentially go down to Town Hall. Backed up off of Town Hall, and I think we backed up off of Maple Grove because of expense. So this has gone through a number of modifications, a bunch of conversation. And as it stands right now, the project would be Pinnacle Trailhead under the interstate, cross Unicoi Village Place where that new sign is, and then come up Unicoi Village Place up to the visitor center. That would be the extent of the current project if it were to be bid, correct? And we have Jonathan Shipley with us. That would be correct?
That would be correct for the portion of the bike lanes and the sidewalk. There would be signage and signage only placed on Unicoi Drive or Unicoi Road down to Town Hall.
Okay.
And that would be the extent of that portion of the project.
Okay.
That would tie the bike route on 107 to the Pinnacle Trail.
Okay. So once again, we're considering things that some other folks had put together, proposed, worked and reworked, and it's before us now. And before us now is a resolution to approve the bid for the grant for the Buffalo Valley Connector Trail and Bike Route. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, point of order before you move to that, this resolution is written, does not specify the extent, and of course, the historical basis, Resolution 2018-279, has different extension. So I would suggest that if what's being considered is what the gentleman has referenced, that paragraph 1 for the board's consideration have added to it, that with the scope of said project to extend from Pinnacle Trail to the Visitor Center with signage to Unicoi Town Hall. So it's clear what extent you're either approving or disapproving the debating.
Okay, take me back to what page? 2021-332?
Yes.
Okay, and where you said first?
Paragraph number 1,
Whereas
approves the project, the historical resolution that approved it previously was 2018-279, which extends beyond what the gentleman just explained.
Okay.
So if what the board seeks to consider, either for approval or disapproval, is the amount of the project that he discussed, in paragraph 1 should read, the town of Unifor should move forward with the bidding of the Buffalo Valley Connector Trail and bike route grant project, but with the scope of said project to extend from the Pinnacle Trailhead to Visitor Center and with additional signage to Town Hall, Unifor Town Hall. I didn't want you to pass it and it not be clear whether you were passing the extent from 2018 to the extent you decided.
And you made those notes on your copy?
I did.
Okay, so we're covered on your copy. Okay. Okay, so that being said, is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2021-332 to bid out the Buffalo Valley Connector Trail and Bike Lane project? One last call. Any motion? Hearing none. That resolution, I guess, is considered failed due to lack of motion. Okay, Resolution 2021-333, a resolution in support of Drug Dealer Liability Act. Do we have a Tricia Hertzfeld?
She may be trying to zoom in.
It's Tricia Hertzfeld wanting to zoom. The discussion would be about the Drug Dealer Liability Act lawsuit. If anyone can hear me, if they are on for that purpose. Hertzfeld.
H-E-R-Z-F-E-L-D.
Drug Dealer Liability Act lawsuit.
Mayor, I've spoken with her. Would you want to speak?
Sure, if you'd like to cover. Oh, do we need a motion? We need a motion to discuss or not?
I can just tell you what it is to see
Okay.
if there is a motion, because it's a little bit lengthy resolution. It's got some other things behind it.
Okay.
What this involves is action on the proceedings in the lawsuit involving what we have referred to as the Purdue Pharma lawsuit in previous discussions of this. Purdue Pharma is now out of this, but there are some other suppliers who have supplied opioid products in great quantity throughout the country. You may have heard reference to it as the suit brought by the district attorney's office in behalf of counties and towns. We've submitted our claims, our information to be included in that. There has been process in the litigation arena, and this is a big industry all across the country, that there's even in the providers that are still involved in the lawsuit and not in bankruptcy court. There's been progress in the lawsuit that is filed in Kingsport, and we were until very recently beneficiaries of that lawsuit. There is a Supreme Court case which indicated that the relationships between the district attorneys
And the counties versus the towns was such that if towns wanted to continue to be involved in that we had to affirmatively state that we wanted to be involved. The DA's office couldn't speak for us. We had to say if we wanted to be involved. So Ms. Hurstfield is with the firm that has been handling that litigation up to now. She had made us aware of the court's progress in this, a decision which was recently when Endo Pharmaceuticals and another defendant were attempting to get the chancellor in case for his hearing to dismiss it. He did not do that. But he did say this in obedience to the other court's opinion that if municipalities wanted to continue to be included, we had to affirmatively say we wanted to be a claimant. So that's what this is about. This is saying that we would resolve that the drug dealer liability lawsuit proceed, that we want to be a party to that, that we want to receive any distributions that come from that. We have researched in our previous filings and claims the amount of money that the town has put towards law enforcement prior to this. This all predates our police department, so this is involved in the almost $1 million that the town had directed towards law enforcement efforts through the sheriff's department. And so again, that documentation has been sent in. That's our stake in the proceedings, if you will. So if you want your expenditure, the town's historical expenditure, to be continued to be considered as part of that lawsuit, we need to authorize this law firm to move forward with that, and also approve their engagement letter, and that's what this resolution is for. They supplied this, they've given us the engagement letter, I've reviewed them, and basically what it says is that if we want to be involved and approve this, there's no obligation on the town's part financially unless we obtain a recovery. And so, of course, this firm, Branstetter, Strange and Jennings law firm that you see a letter here from, they represent many counties, many towns involved in this, and I'm sure this is probably not the only lawsuit that they're handling in this area. You'll see behind that the order denying Endo Pharmaceuticals' motion to dismiss and granting us the opportunity to do this. Behind that is the retainer agreement, which says no financial obligation unless we recover. So that's what's before you. Do we want the town of Unifor's investment in law enforcement, which was affected by all these opioid sales, and those companies understand. I mean, you've probably read the newspaper coverage about it or have heard me speak on it before. These companies were making billions and billions of dollars off of these products, and of course, they had huge impacts on our citizens, on our communities. And so that's the reason these lawsuits were started. If we want to continue to say, reimburse us for what we spend on law enforcement because of these problems, then we've got to authorize this. If we don't, we're out of it and we don't have to worry about it anymore. And I've got reams and reams and reams of paper on this in my office that I can get rid of. But if you want to proceed on and make the claim for reimbursement for the town's investment in law enforcement, that's what's to approve these two things.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Davis. Do I hear a motion? Motion to approve or not our involvement in this lawsuit, this continuing lawsuit, in agreement with this law firm that would be representing us among other municipalities. This agreement does not cost us anything. Any fees would be taken from proceeds. Should this lawsuit
should there be a recovery? And this is moving. It's been a long process, but it's moving fast now. So we need either to take some action now to continue to be part of it or not. But there's no cost to the town. We have already documented again what we've invested. So
a lot of work's already been put into
exactly.
enrolling the town in the process. I do have another really quick question. Would there be any grant? I have no idea how much there could possibly be in a recovery. Would there be any stipulation on how that money has to be spent or used?
Yeah, we've already put the money out of pocket. Now, I can't predict the outcome of the lawsuit or what directives the court might give to it. There's also a portion of our claim that is moving forward in the bankruptcy court. And through the bankruptcy court, there can be stipulations. In this lawsuit, if we obtain a recovery unless, the court says it'll be passed out thus and so, then we can spend it how we want to.
And the bankruptcy is Purdue Pharma?
Purdue Pharma filed bankruptcy, and this lawsuit involves the remaining defendants. All of our stuff on Purdue Pharma is already in.
Done, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, I will ask, is there a motion to be entertained?
I make a motion that we adopt the resolution in support of the drug dealer liability lawsuit.
And would you add to that that we approve the retainer agreement as well?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, questions, conversation, concerns? All right, hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
You know, I'll vote for this. The one thing I'm one of these senior members in this group here today, and one of the things that's overlooked here is people wouldn't have these drugs if doctors had not wrote prescriptions. And that's the thing that's bothered me all through this whole deal about these drug companies. Yes, they made millions of dollars, but they wouldn't have made that money if doctors had not wrote prescriptions.
I've heard doctors address that, wanting to know who's writing all those prescriptions. And, our system of healthcare has changed over the years. I'm told by physicians who raised that question from the point of view that you're speaking of, that a lot of these prescriptions have been written and underwritten, supervised by the physicians in other levels of healthcare. So there's a lot to that issue.
There's a whole lot to that, but, it's just like, no one forces me to stop at the beer joint to get a beer. That's my choice not to take it. And same thing with drugs, it's up to the individual to take drugs or not take them. And yet it's up to the doctors to write prescriptions, because we can't get the drugs without it. It's just the way I feel.
Well, you're talking, we've got two nurses sitting up here, and one of the things we know historically is this, yes, it has been a very abused and very broken system, but there are many steps in place that are trying to correct some of the problems of historically writing and providing opioids and illegal drugs as a prescription. So that's where we are today. It's something that's moving forward to try to correct some of the mistakes of the past, and that's where we are.
Well, these drugs, and this is how the lawsuit proceeds, these drugs were presented as something that were really good for people. These were really going to help people. And as the lawsuits developed, it's become clear that companies had some knowledge that these would be hyper addictive.
Like, we have 3,600 citizens in this town. How will they figure out if the lawsuit is won by these cities and counties? How can we get anything with only 3,600 citizens?
Our investment in law enforcement, that's how this sort of creative lawyering came about through the DA's conference. Was they decided this problem was so bad they were going to address it as a liability issue, because when you're talking about not a huge but multiple huge corporations that are profiting in the billions would be in dollars, and they felt like money would be a way to get their attention. One of them's in bankruptcy. It certainly got their attention.
If y'all have any interest at all in the opioid epidemic, Lottie Ryan's First Tennessee Development District recommended a book to me called American Pain. And if you've never read that book, I suggest you read it. It will give you a tremendous amount of insight.
Well, the NICU's overflowing.
Into the opioid epidemic, yes, and the
Opioid
babies being born now, so, yeah, it's a social crisis in our country. So, yeah, anyway, okay, enough said. We have a motion to approve our participation in the Drug Dealer Liability Act lawsuit, as well as included in that motion is to engage as a retainer in the law firm, and I won't even try to say their names. Is that okay?
It's time to say the BSJ law.
The BSJ law firm, okay.
Like doing that.
All right, so, any further discussion or more questions? Roll call.
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper.
Yes. Oh, I'm
Mayor
sorry.
Bullen.
Yes. I jumped the gun, I'm so sorry, yes. Okay, apologize. All right, I think we are down to reports of officers and committees. With history committee, you'd like to share? Come on. No, you were, well, you're not always short, you're pretty sweet, so.
Okay, well, we have about 55 to 60 kids, plus their parents at the Easter thing. And they were all excited, even the parents were excited.
Yeah, do so.
And they, and I want to thank Wanda for coming out, and she rang her bell to start the hunt, the kids loved that. And I was asked if we have like little raised beds out there, if we can do our garden, we do like a raised bed garden, the old seeds and stuff like that, if we would want to do that. And I told them that I would ask if it's okay if we do it.
It's okay by me. The first thing that came to my head, Lisa, is if y'all do grow things or plant things, are they in a space where
It's in a
people
square
visiting
box.
are gonna
It's a square box.
interfere or anything?
That's what it's for people to look at.
To walk through, not walk
Yeah.
on, okay, I mean, just protecting it is my
Yeah.
first thought. It's like, can we keep it safe? Sure. Sure. Okay, yeah.
And I will say from a visual standpoint, the way it looks like now, that if it was growing something would probably look better.
Okay, no, yeah, go ahead.
I was in a store today and there was a lady asked me, she said, are you all going to do the gardens this year? And I said, well, I'll ask not.
If you'll promise me a good tomato, or, yeah. Okay, yes, go for it, yes.
Okay. And we're working for the strawberry fest. So we'll be on the strawberry.
Okay, good. All right, so you're all set. And
We're
you're
trying to get-
recovered.
We're trying to get there.
You're not recovered yet? You looked recovered. Okay, you're giving the county. Okay, all right, planning commission, board of zoning and appeals. Ms. Wanda.
Okay, there was a special call meeting on March the 18th for a review and consideration of the proposed site plan for the Black Diamond Market. Mr. Jonathan Lewis, the engineer for the proposed site, presented to the board that he had complied with everything Erica Melpass, our city planner, had requested except a traffic impact study, which he had not expected. To speed things up, he is hiring an independent company out of Knoxville who specializes in transportation to do the traffic study to come up with a recommendation to what needs to be done, if anything. He requested a site plan approval so he could get a grading permit. Erica stated the only thing with the traffic impact study, he would need to get a written approval from TDOT to proceed with breaking ground. Mr. Lewis stated anything they came up with in the traffic study he would comply with, which could require an extra turn lane to be put on the exit ramp or a left turn lane to turn into the development. There was discussion on the existing detention basin serving the entire village development if it would cause any flooding issues. Mr. Lewis explained the detention basin was designed for a 10-year flood event. There was a motion to approve the site plan as presented pending approval from the required traffic impact study. Motion was seconded and roll call vote was unanimous. Okay, and then on the planning commission met on April 5th, under new business was a review and reconsideration of an ordinance to amend the town of Unifor zoning ordinance for the purpose of adding an industrial overlay district to Article 7. The board opened with discussion. Lois Davis Schultz, town attorney, and Erica Melpass, city planner, have been working with land use attorney out of Nashville the town has hired. A letter from Unicoi Clear attorney, Mr. Davis, was given to all board members just before the meeting. Mr. Davis addressed the board via Zoom. There were conflicting views between the attorneys. The citizens was given opportunity to address the board. Mayor Bullen agreed to meet with Unicoi Clear members to share information along with other planning commission members. The board voted unanimously to table the ordinance until next month's meeting. And then also we got the planning board and the BMA got a letter as of April 15th, 2021, in light of action taken by planning commission members at the April 5th, 2021 meeting. Mayor Borland has requested the removal and termination of the request process regarding the proposed industrial district overlay. And that's taking it off the planning commission, correct? Okay. And then under new business was election of officers, chairman, vice chairman, secretary. And then there was no scheduled BCA meeting for April.
Correct. Okay, that's it. Thank you. All right, Mountain Harvest Kitchen, there is a report in your pack.
Lee's also zoomed in, if you have any questions.
She zoomed in, or these little protein pots look pretty interesting. I'd say those would be good for kids. Protein, vitamin, fortified Rice Krispie pots. Yeah, you're a picky eater. Does anybody have anything for Lee? Would you like to address if you have something? No? Are y'all good with the report? All right, very good. Thank you, Lee, for being available. All right, and then we do municipal court report. There as well as a page in your packet. I don't think municipal court met for a bit. This is the first in-person municipal court in a while.
Yeah, do you want to go over anything over the Parks and Rec?
Oh, did I miss Parks and Rec?
And police department.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm just jumping in my head. I'm so sorry. Apparently, I'm very anxious doing. Okay. Parks and Rec. Sure, you provided us a report right here. We're fully aware of all the strawberry activity.
Yes, and I just wanted to go ahead and publicly say we are very, very excited to have Scott Strawberry and Tomato Farms come on as our title sponsor for the event. We're really happy to be working with them. Kathy and I had some great meetings with them. We also have some other large sponsors that have come on, not quite at that level, but we've added a car show this year, and K&K Automotive out of Irwin will be the sponsor for that, and Bank of Tennessee will be the sponsor for the Kids Zone this year. So that was something that was important to us, was getting some sponsorships to cover some of these costs.
And Friday morning, we have an event.
Yes, Friday morning we have an event that is a ribbon cutting for our Jack's Natural Playground. That'll be at 9 a.m. And then as far as upcoming events are concerned, right after the Strawberry Festival, we will also have a British car show right here in the parking lot. So we do have some upcoming events, and I'll say this, from my time going to Daytime Tri-Cities, they were thrilled to hear we were having events again. So
finally, okay.
Yes, we've had good feedback.
So sorry that I jumped ahead. I apologize. Thank you very much. I do apologize. Yes.
What is a Buffalo Ambassador Program?
Okay, the Buffalo Ambassador Program, actually, Ms. Jean's here. She's going to be helping us with that. The Buffalo Ambassador Program is going to be an all-volunteer group. One thing that Trish does here is spend a lot of time making phone calls to a long list of volunteers, pretty much begging. So having someone that can lead a volunteer group so that Trish makes one phone call and says, Jean, these are the things we need volunteers for. And then Jean reaches out to those volunteers within that group and helps keep them organized and on task. Obviously, Jean kind of stepped up to do this the first round for us. What we had discussed during the meeting is possibly having that change each year. Like once we get a good group going, you know, the next year somebody else leads, the next year somebody else leads, and they can do it by vote. They can do it just by, hey, you. It's not necessarily a formalized group as far as voting and things like that, but it would be, you know, we're thinking t-shirts that they can show up, not just for events. This would also be for ribbon cuttings. Businesses love to see a welcoming committee, if you will. So, you know, imagine the picture of your alderman here with quite a few people behind them, the Buffalo Ambassadors. It's just a way for people to get involved and for us to have some help in coordinating that.
I got a question on the car show. Do you still have to register to bring the car?
Which car show?
KNK Automotive Car Show.
At the Strawberry Festival. You do not have to register. Mike McIntosh, thank you, Model A Mac, as they call him, is coordinating that for us. So we have his information online and everywhere that we put the car show. So we're asking that they go through him. He's kind of keeping that under reins. He knows how many spaces we have available.
What I was gonna say is, you know, most car shows, you show up and you're there. You could have 100, you could have 200.
We do not have a space for 200 folks. But
See
we
that?
have met with Mike on that, and he is aware of what space we have, and if we need a little bit of overflow, we might have it, but not much. So this is the first year for that. We want to kind of see how it goes. We wanted to give something, you know, that's something this community really likes, is that particular car show. And we weren't able to have that at the previous event that it's normally held at, the Fiddlers and Fiddleheads. So we wanted to find a way to incorporate that into our Strawberry Festival. Now, as far as the car show that's here, the British car show, again, registration isn't really required, but that's because there's plenty of space. So we're good. And we don't expect 200 cars.
If you want to flood the world, I'll do that, and you'll have a lot of people come out and woodwork with their cars.
Well, we have asked everybody to contact Mike McIntosh to talk to him about how that's gonna work. He's not requiring registration, but he does know the parameters.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Nope. Good. Okay, good to go. All right. Chief.
You have a packet there on your. That's kind of what we did, the field job, so.
Are you wanting to say anything in particular?
If it's not, great guys over for me about that.
Today was the first time I've been in the evidence room. Good night. All the stuff. Yeah. I was like, what's that? What's that? What's that?
That's why I was so confused.
And we,
I knew maybe why I'm having issues.
we appreciate that, I think, that was a lot.
I mean, I just can't believe the stuff.
And of course, that's out there on the street if these guys want to do that.
I know. I mean, absolutely absurd. Amazing, impressive.
Getting huge separately grant cars will make us a lot more efficient. We'll be having.
I just cannot believe all the stuff they're taking off the street. This big old rifle, this gun in there, I thought it looked like the gun that Clint Eastwood used in 44, what was that movie?
Magnum.
44 Bear.
Whatever. I was like, God, is that a 44 Bear? He said, no, that shoots BBs. It was huge though. I mean, it wasn't as big as his, but it was like a pistol that was long hair. BBs. Dummy, why are you walking around that thing? Whatever, just saying. Okay, anyway, BMA, thank you for your report, our BMA report to the police. We do very much appreciate what you do. Yes, your hands are busy flipping pages, but I'll add mine. Yes, thank y'all very, very, very much. Okay, municipal court is in there, recorder's report. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
I have a few things. Let's see, there's no update on the Indian Creek Bridge. Interstate mowing contract will end June 30th, 2021. Interstate mowing contract bid advertisement was in the Johnson City Press on Sunday. Will be in the Irwin Record on Wednesday, and then again in the press on April the 25th. The bid packets will be available to pick up May the 4th at Town Hall. Bids must be returned no later than 2 p.m. Friday, June 4th, at which time they will be opened. Contract award will be considered by the town of Unicoi BMA at the regular meeting on June 21st. The MHK ROC grant, fiscal year 2021, year to date, the town has spent $90,851 through March. We've been reimbursed $53,228, and we have approximately $37,622 left on that grant. The Tennessee CARE Act Corona grant, the cooler, the $95,000. Year to date, we spent $75,896, and we have received $37,068 in reimbursement. And we have a balance to receive of $38,828. this reimbursement should be in April, the beginning of May. The MHK revenue budgeted for rent for 24,000, year-to-date actual received through March 21 is 30,622. We had Ted Thomas reported 15 section of Springbrook Road, about 1/10 of a mile from the Unicoi Drive intersection. This road is eroding underneath the pavement. And you can kind of see alligator cracks in that pavement where that road has eroded, and we're going to have to use some rock to fix that back. Tysinger Hampton began the boundary topographical survey engineering phase for the Massachusetts Avenue Improvement Study. We received the first invoice of $7,300, and the total cost of that study is $35,100. We'll be wrapping up the budgets this week in preparation for our first budget workshop to be held Friday, April 23rd. The department heads will present their budgets to the board. That's all we've got to report.
Has approval or permission gone out for Jerry Haynes to work on the culvert exposed gas line at Whistle Stone?
The work order has been completed.
Has been issued?
We have a cost estimate of approximately $10,000.
Anything else? For
Well,
the-
I would like to comment that our,
Well, we're gonna do financial next. No, you're getting ahead. Thank you, Ms. Kessler, for that. Now, financial report.
Okay, on the general fund balance sheet, I usually go through the cash, and we have about $1,214,903. If you take off the restricted amounts in the government league grant, and the restricted street aid, we have about 864,000 unappropriated for the balance sheet in general fund. And looking at the general fund revenues, for the month of March, we had 172,786, and year-to-date, we were at 1,570,563. Total expenditures for March, we were at 248,235, which we had $75,449 more in expenses than what we had in revenue. But again, that March month, we had the third quarter appropriations, and we paid $22,909 to the Economic Development Board and $26,700 in appropriations third quarter, and our debt was at $90,268 with our bond payment and the capital outlay notes. So year to date, we're still at $486,264 in the positive.
Okay, now, you can ask a question.
well, it wasn't no question. I was making a comment on our local option sales taxes through the roof right now. Through March, we're at $826,000. And so the whole year last year was only $858. And we've got 4 months to go. So our local sales tax is really doing well right now. Our share tax is also doing pretty good. So we're holding our own on it. So I think we're really benefiting from the COVID with on our local option sales tax. It's really good.
People are spending their stimulus checks.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And
Burning a hole in their pocket.
Waiting on more.
waiting on more. And the other thing that I went through here on our MHK, I think we're right now running about 137,000 in the hole through March. These numbers are right. The big thing is local sales taxes.
I have no question, or it's not even in the budget. I was wondering, I was talking to County Urban's mayor over the weekend, and he said in the next few days, they're expecting half of their contribution to come in.
for $1,600,000. I was wondering if we've had any notification we want to receive on our nearly million.
I have not received any notification. I have not received, what the restrictions are. I don't know. I noticed Travis was in here. Have you received any information about the restrictions?
Yes, I was, at the TCMA conference, Jerry Durham with Comptroller's office. They don't have any guidance yet. State doesn't know. We're waiting on Treasury guidance. Mid-May, U.S. Department of Treasury should issue some guidance and the state can interpret that at that point. We're looking at about half of our money should be within 20 days, according to the original, and all of it should be from March 11th, when it was issued. We're all supposed to be received within 60 days at that point. So that would be.
So now we know. Thank you.
Well, I would say that, talking about the sales tax, you know, the average couple has received about $6,000 in 3 stimulus checks. And obviously people are spending it. We exceeded our budget for this current year. When we budgeted, you know, those numbers, that was back in March of last year when things were starting to shut down. And we were getting economic indicators that we could lose up to 40 or 50% of our sales tax. And that was pretty scary, especially since that's all we have. We don't have property tax. So, you know, we have obviously exceeded what we budgeted, which is a good thing. Now, you know, what lies ahead, you know, hopefully the economy will recover and everything will be good and great. And it makes it hard to budget because you really don't know how things are going to affect, you know, especially since you had the tax stimulus checks. Are you going to get more, you know, in this upcoming year? It's something you don't know. It's hard to budget in this kind of, you know, situation.
Ask Joe.
What?
You'll have to ask Joe.
They're talking for.
You have to ask Joe that. Sorry. Okay.
Are they really talking a fourth one? Are they really talking a fourth one?
Yes, they are.
Oh, my.
Yes.
They're also talking 2 weeks of no sales tax on restaurants.
Now, I saw that from Governor Laney, 2 weeks of no sales tax, groceries, every good.
And that's gonna be twice.
Oh, mercy.
4 weeks total.
Yes, a quick question. I don't know if it's easy answers, but I'm always curious what percentage of our lots, you know, that we get to the sales tax, what percentage comes from Walmart? I'm assuming it's a huge percentage of the total. Does anybody know?
That's actually confidential.
I know, isn't that crazy?
I can sort of answer that. I talked to the
A
guy
lot.
in charge in Irvine a few years ago. Somewhere between 80+% comes from Walmart. You're right, that's confidential. Yeah.
I'll just say a lot.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right, now, any more financial questions for?
No, but I did forget to bring something that I need to mention, that I have done 2 budget amendments during the month of March.
Okay.
Line item moves.
Okay.
The mayor has approved, and I was going to bring them, and it's mainly between Park and Rec and police.
Okay.
Moving things around for the festivals that didn't happen. So doing some line item moves for that, and then the police department as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. In that regard, then, can I entertain a motion for approval for the financial report?
Make a motion for approval, financial report.
Second.
All right, motion second. How about we call roll?
Alderman Bennett,
Yes.
Alderman Radford,
Yes.
Alderman Ray,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Bullen.
Yes. All right, thank you, Debbie, for that. Anybody have any announcements?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
The first budget work session will be at 10 o'clock Friday morning here in this room. You'll probably go all day. We will have lunch brought in.
And she'll be there already for the ribbon cutting, and I'll make
Yeah,
it very good morning of it.
9 o'clock, right?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. ribbon cutting, and then over here starts at 10.
Okay. I will send out a itinerary for everybody. The second budget work session will be Friday, August the 30th, 10 o'clock here, probably go all day. Planning Commission Monday, May the 3rd, and that's all I have.
All right. Okay, anything else? Anybody? All right, how about a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? We're done. Uh-oh, okay.
Did you all do these exemptions?
Lois is always good at giving me advice on when to keep my mouth shut.
I won't. What? But lunch, I think. Hey, where do you want Friday? Lunch, we'll be bringing, well, we have to pick it up. We're gonna do sandwiches, potato salad,